Hello and welcome to the Way Out podcast. Andrew Logan here with you again. It's episode number 28 and I have a very special guest. She's sitting right beside me, which is really, really cool. Doing this as a video live stream as well, but also obviously for the podcast. I will give her a proper introduction in a sec. But Alisha, how great is it to be here with you? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the video as well as the podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, well, we're here in a little farm retreat. If you can notice, the backgrounds are a little bit different and it is the most magic, perfect day. And I mean, this is a podcast essentially, but we wanted to do it outside just for the visual thing, but it was just a bit too cold. A little bit of a crisp breeze coming along, a little behind the scenes, but it's absolutely great to have you in today, Alisha, because I want to talk about personal development. I know it's a really big thing. It's an important thing in so many journeys, and people go on these personal development journeys. And we want to talk about the positives, obviously, but also some of the reality of it as well, because sometimes a personal development journey isn't it's not all fun. There's some onion layers that we need to peel back along the way. But just before we start, I guess I wanted to introduce how I met you, and it was 7 or 8 years ago now. We were at breakfast at a cafe on the Gold Coast, and you were so shy and so introverted and so quiet that you wouldn't even order breakfast. And you were telling me how you couldn't even order takeaway food. And then about a month ago, I saw you on stage, on the virtual stage for Fraser Brooks, and you absolutely nailed it. And you were dancing, you were singing, there was music, bright lights, just absolutely crushing it. And it's just been amazing to watch. And as someone who, I consider you such a close friend, and watch you develop over the last few years. And I'd love you, I guess, just opening with your story, obviously, but then some of the great things that personal development has allowed you to do. But also just, some of the challenges that have come up along the way as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And when you said that we've known each other for 7 years, just to think about what's happened in 7 years. It's crazy when you think about it, because like you said, that breakfast, I was back then afraid to pick up the phone and order takeout. I lacked confidence. I was very, very shy and very, very introverted. And I remember, thankfully, that you came into our life and you actually introduced me to the world of self-development. And I remember you told us to go to this event. We flew to Perth for it. And it was kind of like my first awakening to the self-development world. And for me, I thought self-development was the self-help aisle at the bookstore. And I was like, oh, it's for people that need help. And I just remember going to this event, and the trainer on stage, David T.S. Wood, was saying, you can only grow your wealth to the extent you grow yourself. And I was just like, wow, that's so fascinating and so profound, but I didn't really actually understand it until I went through the self-development journey. And I remember him saying on stage as well, these are the things that have just stuck with me. He was just like, your environment. So the people you hang around with, the things you listen to, the things you see will impact your thoughts, right? So the stories that you tell yourself in your head, in your mind. They can be positive stories, they can be negative stories, and then the thoughts that you have in your mind dictate your actions, what you do on a day-to-day basis. And then your actions will obviously lead to your results. And back then, my thoughts, to go back to my story, my thoughts in my head were not very positive. I wasn't very kind to myself, so I didn't take action, and I had little results in my life. And so what I've done over the last 7 years, people look at me now, and they look at me on a Facebook Live, or they hear me at an event, and they're like, wow, you're so amazing. But I didn't wake up like that. I didn't wake up like that. It's self-development. When you think about a picture being developed, it takes time and it takes work and it takes effort. So I've done a lot of things over the last 7 years that have resulted to where I am today. I can go into a few things and a few tips and strategies. If you're wanting to grow, if you're wanting to develop, if you want more things out of life, I can definitely share that. But it's been such an amazing journey to look back.
Yeah, definitely. You hit some great points there. I mean, I think we'll definitely talk about environment along the way as well. Yeah. But, David has that amazing thing about this statement about, you can only grow your wealth to the amount that you grow yourself. Yeah. And John Maxwell, I'm a great student of John Maxwell as well. I love him. And he has that similar thing where it's the lid. like the lid on your life. It's like the lid on the saucepan kind of thing. And you can only grow your life to this point where the lid is going to get in the way, and that is your own personal development.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'd love to talk about, I think the one thing that you really hit there was that it takes time, right?
Yeah.
And so someone can look at you now and say, essentially, 7 years, 7 chapters down
Yeah.
the road. And it can be hard for someone to look at that and picture being back at step 1. It can almost seem a bit overwhelming to have to go that far, isn't it? Because 100%, I know,
100%. And so, for me, it's what you do on a day-to-day basis that counts. So it's like the compound effect. It's those little things that you do each and every day. And someone said to me the other day, they're like, you're so confident. Where's this confidence come from? And I truly believe it boils down to a few things. It's just like, if you tell yourself that you're going to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and you don't wake up at 6:30 in the morning, you're lying to yourself. You're not in integrity. So it really just boils down to those little things that I do to myself on a day-to-day basis and look after those things. But it hasn't been pretty. So I remember 7 years ago, I went to an event and I saw these speakers on stage, and I was like, I really want to be on stage, but I'm terrified and I don't know how to public speak. And so what my husband and I did was we actually went to Toastmasters. And Toastmasters, for those of you who don't know, it's a place where you can go and practice your public speaking. And I remember walking into that room, we had to stand up and introduce ourselves, and I was shaking. And I just remember knocking over the glass of water and going red. And I was like, this is the most embarrassing thing ever. But I had 2 choices. I had a choice never to come back, or I had a choice to come back and get better and better and better and better. And so every Wednesday for 3 years, we went to Toastmasters and we practiced, and regardless of the nerves, regardless of the fear, doing it anyways.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what people, I guess, holds people back, is just like they're scared of saying the wrong thing. They're scared of doing the wrong thing. And so they don't do anything at all. So it's just like those little things to that you look for to grow. And so I did Toastmasters, and then I signed up for a triathlon, which was crazy. And then I signed up for a pageant, which was even crazier. And then I did an ultra marathon. And it's all these little things and all these little wins along the way that give you the confidence.
Yeah. And I think, well, you really hit the nail on the head, wasn't it? That you leaned into the challenge.
Definitely.
So there was that challenge that came up, and like The Obstacle is the Way, the great book by Ryan Halliday, that you saw this challenge in your life.
Yep.
And as you said, you can, because it's a bit of a meme, isn't it? Where you're at an event or something and they say, stand up and say your name and where you're from. And you're like, I should know this.
Why
am I so nervous? I know my name. I know where I came from. But the simplest thing like that can be so nerve-wracking for people. But you felt that fear and you leaned into it and you took on that challenge. Yeah. And then you forged growth from that.
Definitely. Yeah. I guess it's seeking challenges. And it's not pretty. You've got to go through the growth, the pain. But when you come out on the other side, it's that little bit of, you're like, wow, self-belief. Wow, I did that. And another great mentor that I love and adore is David Goggins, right? If you haven't heard of David Goggins, he's just go and YouTube him. But he speaks about the cookie jar. And so he has a cookie jar. And so when he goes through challenging times, he always thinks back to his cookie jar. And so every cookie in his jar is all the things, the tough things that he's done in his life and he's overcome.
Yeah.
And so when I guess, face adversity or someone asks me to do something and I have that little bit of self-doubt, I always think back to, okay, what do I have in my cookie jar? What have I been able to achieve so far in my life? I can do this. If I can do that, I can do this. And so it's always thinking about that. What is in your cookie jar? And if you don't have much in your cookie jar, where can you go and what can you do to create more cookies in your jar?
And just start small. Again, as you said, that snowball effect, to start with one thing. You were talking before about your husband, Lloydie, who's been on this podcast. And, if you go back to the interview about how to grow a money tree, that Lloyd and Alisha, it's an amazing couple. And sometimes, as you say, people can go along to a personal development event. They go along to, a conference or something like that, and they get super excited. And then they go home and they face negativity or doubt from their spouse.
Yeah.
Now, you obviously, you like couple of unicorns together. It doesn't always happen, but 2 people who were just so ready to link arms and grow together. But you still had to change your environment in other ways as well. Like you said, instead of laying in bed on a Wednesday morning, you were getting up and going to Toastmasters.
That's right.
And just changing the environment again, because whether it is a spouse or whether it's a toxic workplace or whether it's just a friendship circle, if there isn't that support, it doesn't matter how strong your willpower is, it's going to pull you apart, right?
100%. So, you know, environment is stronger than willpower. It is. The people you hang around with, the things you listen to, the things you're watching, it's all playing a part with your mindset. Remember, going back to your thoughts will lead to your feelings, which will lead to your actions, which will lead to your results. And so environment is so important. And when we first started, I guess, our self-development journey, that was my biggest awareness, because I was just like, I was actually outgrowing some of my friends. And it made me realize that either people grow with you or you leave them behind. Only if you want the best out of life, if you want a juicy life to just really extract everything out of life, you grow. And when you grow, even better people come into your life. And you grow some more, even better people come into your life. So environment is so important. So if you're not, I guess, in a positive environment, go and seek it. Seek out a mentor, seek out a group, seek out somewhere where you can be around positive people who are going to pour belief into you, because it's not all fun. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have moments of, oh, what am I doing here? But having someone pour belief into you. I remember us last night, we're sitting here, we're having a chat, and we're not having a cappuccino conversation. We're talking about our goals and our vision and what we really want to get out of life, right? So surrounding yourself with people who, you know, want the best for you. It's so important.
There's different conversations, and I mean, we were, you know, there was wine and cheese obviously involved as well, but it was a very different thing. And I think, but it's really important, as you say, is that if you're focused on the loss, like if it's going to say, look, you know, part of this personal development means I may have to leave some people behind, and you focus on the loss. But for Angie and I, it's meant this just amazing people like yourself have been able to come into life because we had to create room.
100%.
And, you know, when you kind of detox your life and you detox your social media and stuff like that, sometimes you just have to throw some stuff out to make room for new things. And so it's not that you're throwing a friendship out, I shouldn't say it in those words, but it's just a matter of like, will this circle, will this network, will this environment help serve me get to where I want to be? And if it's not, that's a conscious decision we have to make to keep growing. I'd love to hear some of the, you know, we talk about like Toastmasters, and even yesterday we were having a bit of a chuckle on the bus because you started taking a video for your Instagram and you tripped over. I must say, like, that's the video that's going to get more hits than anything else you did.
So true.
I'd love to hear some of like just some of your epic failures, I guess, like some of the things that. Because again, when you see someone like yourself and you see you on the virtual stage, and I've seen you on the real stage, I've seen you on the virtual stage, and you are amazing. Like I still remember that when you had that white dress on that time, and you were talking about living in possibility. I still get chills with that speech you made. But what are some of the epic failures? So because we can all relate to the failures.
I feel a few things came to mind. So the Toastmasters story is probably one of my finest, where the water just went everywhere. But I just remember doing my first ever Facebook Live. So if you haven't done a Facebook Live, this was me behind the scenes. I just remember, I'm like, okay, first and foremost, I'm telling people that I'm going live, because if I don't announce it, I probably won't do it. So accountability when you're going through growth is so important. And then I was like, okay, I'm going live. And I was literally like running up and down my house. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, I can't do this. And it was just like a matter of just pushing play, feeling the fear and doing it anyways. And then that was a scary moment. And I fail every single day. It's just, you fail forward though. You fail forward. It's not a matter of like, oh, I failed, I'm terrible. But yeah, the Toastmaster story is probably my biggest one, the Facebook Live. And then I remember too, like sharing my first ever before and after photo when I went through a weight loss transformation. I remember posting it on Facebook, throwing my phone in the bed, putting the covers over my phone. I was just like, I don't even want to look at my phone. And then realizing that people are just supportive as well. And it's just like fear of, I don't know what the fear is, but nothing bad ever happens. So I don't know if that answered your question in terms of
no, I think we've all related.
Funny failures.
Well, I think we can all relate to. You speak to so many people who are scared of going live and stuff like that, and you know, it's a fear we all have. And just as a side note, guys, you can set your profile on your phone to just me, or only you, and then you go live and you do it. And once you're happy with it, then you go back and you edit, and then you change it to friends or public, however you've got your set up.
That's such a golden hack. Write that down.
Yeah, so you can you can just practice doing the live until you're happy with it, and then people will get it afterwards. But yeah, I remember having all those similar fears and all the challenges. But when you were talking, I was just thinking of a quote, and I've seen it before, but it popped up on my Instagram just yesterday that the opposite of success isn't failure. Failure is a part of success.
100%.
Kind of, you know, mediocrity and just sitting in the middle at the end of the day and never getting outside of that comfort zone is the actual kind of opposite of success, because we need failures as a stepping stone on the way to success. So I guess, you know, finishing with a positive and talking about where do you know, I mean, your life now compared to 7 years ago, and then even fast forwarding another 7 years, but just the confidence that you have and the strength that you have and the power that you have when you speak and when you live your life, how is it different? Like, how has that personal development changed your life in general as we see it?
Amazing. So I feel like it's like on a micro level. So just being at home, I'm more of a positive person. I'm more self-aware of myself, other people. I'm more caring, compassionate because of the journey that I've gone through. And I just feel like I'm on a mission now. We're on a mission to take more people along the journey and the ride as well, and introduce them to this world of potential. So many people, I know myself now too, I'm potential on ice. There's so much more in me, and it's just like plugging into an environment that pours belief into you again, and grow and grow and grow and grow, because you never get there. Because once you get there to the goal, you're like, wow, I achieved that. What else can I do? And then you go next, and then you go next, and you go next, and you go next. And, you know, we spoke about it earlier. It's just like, you always have this long-term vision of what you want, but it's all those little things along the way that you've got to learn to celebrate and get joy and happiness from, that moves you closer to that long-term vision. So self-development for me is just like, even kindness, like walking on the street and saying hello to your neighbor. I never used to do that. You know, hey, how you going? Hey, how you going? Hey, how you going? I used to be like introverted, don't make eye contact, and just like smiling at someone, and then them smiling back at me. It has a ripple effect, because then they're going to go on and smile at someone else. So it's not something so crazy and grand. It's just like all those things on a micro level that I truly believe is life. Yeah.
So where do you see you and Lloyd in another 7 years and a 7 year itch? And
for me, it's a matter of getting that 1% better each and every day. And when someone asks me to do something, even you asking me to be on this podcast, at first I was like, what am I going to say? I hope I'm going to deliver the goods, but just saying yes and figuring it out. So long-term vision for us is, like I said, going back to just be louder and prouder about helping other people go through self-development and really help them achieve their goals. So
yeah. Now, just winding up, I know you're extra passionate always about helping women and empowering women. And so, guys, if you're not already, check out @Alisha Fernandez and follow her on Instagram and Facebook as well, obviously. TikTok as well. I know now you're getting into that.
I have to keep up with you and your followers on TikTok. Make sure you follow Andrew on TikTok.
We're getting into the TikTok world, but look, I mean, you post a lot of great content. You post a lot of amazing stuff. I guess one last thing, obviously, apart from your husband's book, and, you know, I mean, you can say mine if you want as well, but what would be some of the, you know, I mean, you mentioned Dave Goggins before, but just 2 or 3 of the most impactful personal development books that you've read along the way that people could look into as well?
So for me, I guess the biggest one that sticks out, I have 2. There's David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. That changed everything for me. You know, maybe do 10 or 45 sessions in a day, maybe run an ultra marathon, because he really owns a lot of real estate in my mind in terms of physical challenges and mindset. And the Big Leap.
Yeah.
The Big Leap is actually an amazing book, because it teaches you about self-sabotage, because we can get somewhere and then feel like that's it, and then go back to our normal. So those are the 2 books right now that really stick out. And of course your book and Lloyd's book. So it really depends on where you are in life. And so someone said to me once, a mentor, they were just like, if you pick up a book don't feel like you need to finish the book, because sometimes just one sentence that could be in the first chapter that you're like, I'm done, and then move on, because there's so many books out there. So it's just like, find a book that you can read and relate to now is probably my biggest tip when it comes to reading books as well.
I think that's so important, isn't it? And even going to an event, I've always said to people, when you go away for an event, a 2-3 day event, you should walk away with 2 or 3 bullet points.
Yeah.
Because if you walk around with a book full of notes, you'll just overwhelm yourself. It's too many changes to make to your life. Just come away with the 2 or 3 things, and as you said, same with a book. And guys, if you're not readers, if you prefer audio, the Dave Goggins Audible book is actually more of a podcast as well. So they go through the book, and then he actually kind of interviews with the narrator as well. So it's really good. You get that extra little thing. And I guess just talking about the big leap, and I've done a pure podcast on this, but probably just finishing on that, it's so important, because often we can kind of strive for balance, and it's like, I'll eat really well Monday to Friday, and then I'll blow out on the weekend, or I'll kind of, read a personal development book for a week, but then I'll go back to Netflix for another week. And we self-sabotage in that way, where we get to the end of the year and we've taken 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Whereas, as you're saying, it's just micro steps forward, micro steps forward. We see that a lot. We can't have balance and growth, right? We've got to just stay in that committed lane, stay in that consistent lane.
And I think it's just like a lot of us now, we want this instant gratification as well. And it's just like, I want to be able to be on stage and be an amazing presenter, or I want to have the perfect body. I want to be strong at the gym, but it's not beautiful. It's really just mastering the mundane, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, and just getting up, eating healthy every day, make it your lifestyle, going to the gym, training once a day, reading 10 pages of a self-development book. It's just those little things over time that compound to great things. And I feel like that's where people may fall short, because they're like, it's not working. But it's just like watching grass grow. You don't know it's growing until all of a sudden you look outside, you're like, wow, that's amazing. And that's the same thing with self-development. It's not like I wake up every day and I'm just like, this brand new person. It just takes work day in, day out, day in, day out. So yeah. Amazing.
Alisha, thank you so much for your time. We're going to go pat some cows now, actually, out on this farm retreat. But thank you so much. And guys, again, if you are after inspiration, and especially if you are a female watching this or listening to this, and you're really looking for that great person to just follow and person to fill your life with positivity, I cannot recommend Alisha higher. She just does amazing inspirational work on her social media. So guys, thanks for being on. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.